is The Brenda Lee Show. The Brenda Lee Show.
Hey, Brenda Lee here. Hey, a question came up yesterday, and it was around Zoom and how to handle Zoom calls with your kids. And listen, I am a single mom of 4 boys, and so man, let me tell you, if anybody's got plenty of practice with how to manage this with kids in the house and coming in and out of the house, it is me. So one of the things I was sharing, this gal, her daughter was wanting to be in the room with her, and she was like, it's only when I get on Zoom, like it's so frustrating, I don't know what to do. And I'd explained to her, I was like, listen, she just wants to be with you. And I said, kids are really inquisitive. They really want to see what we as parents are doing. We lock ourselves in this room. They don't understand what we're doing all the time. And I was like, invite her in, have a conversation. There's a multiple step process here with kids that you can have where you get to declare your space, you have your privacy, you are doing exactly what you need to do professionally while also maintaining the home life balance now that most of us are shoved into having to balance that in a way that we never had before, right? And so I had explained to her, I was like, listen, have a conversation with her and just say, hey, sweetie, what's going on for you when mom has to go in and I've told you that you can't come in? So you're allowing them space to express how they feel. When she expresses how she feels, then you can say, oh, you have to acknowledge that her expression. Oh, I can see that you're really sad that you definitely can't be with mom during that time. And and then the conversation could go something along the lines of, hey, listen, I get that you want to be with mom, and this is really critical with kids. If you give them a choice, you could come in, I have to be on Zoom today for 3 hours. You could come in for one of the 3 hours. Which hour would you like to come in on? And they're going to say 10 o'clock hour, whatever, depending on their age. I want to be in on this hour. Okay, that's great. So when you come in, do you want to listen to music on my earbuds or your earbuds while you color or while you build Legos, right? So you're giving them a choice every single time. And then you come to the agreement. Say, okay, so they've decided everything. Say she chooses her AirPods, she's going to color, and she's going to come in there for the 10 o'clock time. And so you repeat what you guys have agreed to. You guys, this also works with couples, okay? But you repeat what you've agreed to. So, all right, sweetie, I'm going to see you in here at 10, and you're going to bring your own AirPods, and you're going to bring your coloring book and your crayons. And you're going to sit right by my feet. You're going to be with mama. You get to be in here, mom or dad, if you're dad at home too. You get to be with mom or dad, you get to participate, and they want to see what you're doing. They want to see, like, is this really legit? All we know is that my parent disappears behind this closed door and I don't know what's going on, right? So it creates uncertainty in them. So when you come up with this agreement, then you follow up and you conclude and you get their agreement. Okay, so is this what you want to do? Does this work for both of us? And they say yes. And then you say, okay, so here's some of the rules when you're in here. Like, here's some things that mama or dad need from you when you're in here. So while you're here, you can't talk to mom or dad. You can't ask me questions about when are we going to eat, what's for lunch, what's for dinner, when are we going to grandma's house. You can't ask those questions, okay? Like, this is a space where it's the silent game. You get to come in, you get to be with me, but only if you promise to mom that you're going to be silent. And if I put my hand up like this, if you go to say something and I put my hand up like this, that immediately means you are to stop talking, because we can do that off camera, right? Like, my kids can walk in here and I can do this just like this, and y'all don't have a clue what I'm doing. And they know that means not now, now's not the time. Because there is some meetings, right, where they can come in. In fact, I have my trainer when we're doing workouts. My youngest loves to come in and participate. It's Esteban Lutz on K7 Fitness, in case you want somebody to reach out to. But when he's doing that, my youngest loves to be in here, and he's allowed to do that, and he knows that because we've communicated that, right? So going back to this situation where they're coming in for an hour, you've given them the time, you've allowed them to be with you. Because oftentimes, you guys, here's the reality. You tell kids no, they're fighting back just because you said no. And it's human nature. It's all of us do that. But when we have a choice, it changes the game. And now we're able to engage, and we feel like we have options. And we're not just being forced into something. We get to have some decision-making influence in the process, and we get to help navigate what the outcome is going to be of the situation instead of being forced and told exactly what has to happen. This is also a mark of a good leader, right? When you include people in on decisions that impact them, Now they feel included, and now they're vested. Now they have loyalty. Now they're bought into the plan. So when you go and you lay the ground rules, if you will, of course, we're not saying that to our kids, but we're saying, this is what mama needs from you. Are you willing to agree to do this with mom if I allow you to come in here and do this with me? And this is what we call the law of reciprocation. When we give our kids something, and clients or anything, the law of reciprocation says they're going to desire to give you something back. They're going to desire to honor you when we present it this way and say, okay, so if you, like, there's no talking, it's a quiet game. Can you be sure to adhere to that for mama? If you don't adhere to, and this is a critical component, if you don't do that, here's the consequences. If you don't do that, you won't get to come back in for 3 days. Mama loves to have you in here with me, and I really want you to be able to participate in this. So can you try really hard to come in? And you guys, this is also teaching them self-control and patience, which is emotional control. So if choose carefully what options you give them. If you've got a client that could be $100,000 contract, you probably don't want to give that as an option for them to come sit with you. But if you've got a client that you're well established with, and they're on board with all of us get to do this life together, and you can say, hey, listen, just an FYI, you're shooting off an email. I'm going to have my little one in here. They don't know that you know that I have you in, that they're going to be in here. They're listening to earbuds. They're not hearing our confidential conversation, but I just want to give you a heads up in case something goes awry. Can you support me in training up my kid as a quality leader as well? And I've never had a client say, no, that's not going to work for me. Never have I ever. And maybe if you've got clients that say that, you might be with the wrong clients. But for the point of case here, when we express to other people, we're communicating, we're having this conversation with everyone, we're setting the expectation, we're getting agreements, we're laying down consequences if the agreement isn't followed through on either party's behalf, right? Then now this is a win. We're set up for win-win, okay? And here's the other tidbit I want to give you. My kids and I have 4 boys at home. My youngest is 9, okay? So, like, I have to deal with this. And I don't know about you, but I've told my kids, like, if each of you interrupt me just once an hour, that is, like, I think of all the interruptions a day. Every time we get interrupted, we get derailed, we get distracted, we have to start back over. And I explained that to my kids. I communicated, hey guys, listen, and it came out of, I got frustrated with them one day. The third one had come in like 10 minutes, and I was like, you guys, like, you've got to stop this. Even if I'm not on meetings, on calls, stop interrupting me. You're causing me to be here later tonight, right? Like, all these interruptions are not helpful. And I lost my shit on them. Full transparency. I had to circle back. I had to seek their forgiveness. Hey guys, I didn't handle that properly. I could have communicated this with you ahead of time. I didn't. And here, let me do this now. This was the beginning of summer. And I feel like every summer we have to do it all over again. We got to retrain, right? The kids and the expectations and all the things. So we came up with a rule. If the door is open, it's free will. You can come in as you need, right? And that's pretty rare, but that's where, like, my day is probably pretty well wrapped up. I'm feeling good about my to-do list. I got through everything. My clients are taken care of. I don't have any more calls for the day. And that's when the door, and I do really structure my day in a way when they start filtering in the afternoon. I like to be in that space to be available to at least greet them for really quick. Hey, sweetie, love you, kiss you, thank you, glad you're home. How was your day? Tell me real quickly how your day was. And they know that I've got to go back to work, right? If the door, so that's full wide open, right? They know that it's all access to mom. If the door is almost closed but not latched, right? Like, it's all the way closed but not latched, they know that you only come in if your brothers can't solve the problem, right? You've got a situation like, hey, what are we having for dinner? Go ask your brother. Hey, I got my chores done. Can I go play? Go ask your brother. Hey, I'm confused on this homework piece. Go ask one of your other brothers who's smarter in math than I am, because I don't get that math anymore, right? And this is the beauty of my family. My boys are phenomenal, and they are absolutely on board, willing to help anytime, any space. I could not do what I do if my kids weren't so freaking amazing, right? So raise amazing kids, and then you get this privilege, right? Where they know that this is a team effort. This isn't just rest on mom, especially with us when we don't have a dad in the home. They don't even engage with their dad because of choices he made, and we don't have family here. So the boys and I have to do all of it while maintaining the business, while maintaining the clients, doing all the things. Again, I can't reiterate enough. Raise awesome kids, because and independent kids. Somebody chastised me the other day because they were like, we heard your 9-year-old has to cook their own food. And I was like, yes, I'm raising men, not boys, right? My boys will leave this house as men. They know how to do their laundry. They know how to wash their clothes. They know how to clean their room. They know how to vacuum and wash the toilet, and they know how to cook. They can survive without mama or some other woman taking care of them. Now, if they get the privilege of having someone that does that for them and wants to, Awesome. More power to them. But my boys are equipped no matter what happens and what gets slung their way, right? So, long and the short of it, they know how to handle all of this, okay? So raise good kids, and then you've got this privilege, whether you're married or not, whether you've got two in the household or not. I am a firm believer of that. So they know if the door, back to the door being closed but not latched, it's I really don't know the answer to the solution, or there's an emergency, like not an emergency, because emergency, they know no matter what. I don't give a rip if I'm on the line with the president of the United States. If there's an emergency with my kids, I'm bailing in microseconds. I'm out. Peace out. I'm taking care of my kids. I'm always a mom first. There's no two ways about it. So they know that it's got to be really, really, really important for them to interrupt me. I'm really trying to get things done. Long and the short of it, they can come in if they absolutely need to. Like, there's a birthday party in 5 minutes. I don't know where the birthday card is. Brother doesn't know where it is either. What can I do? Like, where's the birthday card? And we can handle and manage that, right? Doors closed. That's you only come in if there's emergency, okay? So you're only allowed to come in here if there's an absolute emergency, somebody's bleeding out, somebody's dying, somebody busted their arm, like there's something along those lines that you have to deal with, and then that's when the doors close. So they know these rules and we have these expectations. And I'll tell you what, I have 4 boys, and if I can get this managed and my boys can respect those boundaries and they can adhere to that, you can figure this out too at home. So I hope this helps in this day and age where Zoom has become challenging to navigate and balance the kids and the family home. And really, there's no balance. I say that all the time. I was like, I don't like the word work-life balance. It's an integration. And I operate my business that way. People ask me all the time, how do you travel with your kids? And how do you make all this work as a single parent? And I'm like, A, my kids are amazing. B, I rope my kids into my business. My oldest does all my media. He does all the photos, the videography, all the things. My second son does some of the media sometimes, and he also does all my web stuff. We've just transitioned everything over to him several months ago, where he gets to take care of all that and do all the updating, okay? And so my kids get integrated into this, and they travel with me whenever possible. I always bring my kids with me whenever it's possible. If I don't, they're taken care of with people here, but if I do, they get to come with. So that's how we get to integrate it. Not to mention the benefit, you guys, where my kids are learning when they're sitting in a room with my clients. A, they're seeing what mom does, and they're like, oh, snap. I remember the first time I took my oldest down to Florida with me to a speaking engagement, it totally changed our relationship. He was like in that teenage phase and pushing back up against, and we were kind of going through a rough time with what things that had happened with their dad and all those things. But he, it radically changed and softened he saw his mom in a whole different light. He's like, oh, like she actually knows what she's talking about. And like people pay her to go to Florida to speak, and wow, she's here speaking and people are hiring her because she brings that value to the table. And so as kids, sometimes they don't see what we're working so hard for. When we let them in and we invite them in and we're teaching them. So not only do they get to see my aspect, they also get to experience and learn how to behave and how to engage in that kind of environment. My 16 and 19-year-old are more emotionally mature than most freaking adults out there on the planet, and they can carry a business conversation and an adult conversation better than most adults and most 25 and 30-year-olds, right? Because I've done this and I've exposed them and they're experiencing it. And quite frankly, I make it really clear, like to people, like, hey, listen, my media guy is my kid. He's going to be coming along with me, just so you know. He's going to be recording everything, da-da-da-da-da. He's there to learn. We're there to set an example. End of discussion. I have never had a client say, that's not acceptable. Or always the response is, wow, like, good for you. I've had people reach out to me from different extended teams and say, hey, I heard you do this with your kids. Can you tell me how you do this? They're trying to figure it out so that they can integrate their kids in the same way. So if that's helpful at all for you, I sure hope it is. Wanted to let that out based off that conversation yesterday, and hopefully it gives you some ideas on how to integrate and set boundaries with your kids while not balancing the home work life, but while integrating and joyfully integrating the home and work life.